Jungle.
Hello and welcome. This is exclusive interview on AD4 TV Radio. I am Tunde Mahmoud Hassan. Education is a key driver of development, especially in today's knowledge-driven world. Teachers are a key consideration in delivering education, quality education. Efforts to develop a core of professionals have been a challenge in Nigeria, as it is with other developing countries. I am joined in the studio by Professor Josiah Ajiboye Olusegun, Executive Secretary and Chief Executive of the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria. He will be sharing insights with us on how Nigeria is faring in addressing existing gaps and deficits in molding a core of professional teachers to deliver functional education needed for all-round national development. First, this background report.
Teachers and teachings are critical considerations in any educational system. To be functional and meet set development agenda, qualitative and professional teachers are vital. However, most countries in sub-Saharan Africa face the challenge of gaps in professional cadre of teachers. Nigeria is one of the countries facing noticeable deficits in this area. As it stands, Nigeria's national policy on education stipulates teacher-pupil ratio of 1:40 is yet to be attained. Rather, the ratio is exceeded in most schools, especially in urban areas, indicating that there is more to be done in Nigeria to meet global standard. In other climes, as the United States of America, the pupil-teacher ratio in secondary education stood at 14.8 students per teacher as at 2014, while in the 2018-29 academic year in the United Kingdom, there were 16.4 students for every one teacher. Overall, there are close to 85 million teachers worldwide. Of this number, 9.4 million are in pre-primary schools, 30.3 million in primary schools, 18.1 million in junior secondary schools, 14.0 in senior secondary schools, 12.5 in tertiary institutions. The UNESCO says, even at that, 69 million more teachers are needed, 24 million for primary and 44 million for secondary education, in order to reach universal primary and secondary education in 2030. Experts say to lift educational standard in Nigeria, more attention is needed in terms of the quality and number of professional teaching cadre. This is part of task and mandate of the Teacher Registration Council of Nigeria. Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer of the Council, Professor Josiah Oyeyipo Olusegun, is the guest on exclusive interview. He gives insight on the efforts to reposition teachers and teaching in order to meet national aspirations, especially in the context of today's knowledge-driven global environment.
Hello and welcome. This is exclusive interview on AD4 TV Radio. I am Tunde Mahmoud Hassan. Education is the key driver of development in today's world, especially against the background of a knowledge-driven environment of the globe. Teachers are a key consideration in delivering education, and here we're talking about quality education. Efforts to develop a core professional cadre of teachers have been a major challenge in Nigeria, as with the rest of the developing world. How are these challenges being tackled? How is Nigeria bridging the gap, the deficit in the availability of core professional teachers to drive its educational sector and therefore contribute to national development? This is the issue we'll be taking on exclusive interview, as I'm joined by the Registrar and Chief Executive of the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, Professor Josiah Ajiboye Olusegun. You're most welcome, Prof.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Teaching, teachers, and education. Yeah. You can't draw the line between
No,
this.
they are inseparable.
Are we getting it right?
Well, thank you very much. I actually appreciate your intro, and because you actually hit the first thing to talk about the importance of education to development of any nation. You know, actually education drives the development of any country. There cannot be development without education. And Nigeria also adopted education as a veritable vehicle for national development. But this education is driven by some other people. And the key factor that drives education, you know, the major key to education is the teacher. You know, they say education is the key to development, but the teacher holds that key. The teacher holds that key. And so they are inseparable. You look at teacher, education, and development of any country. And definitely, when you are talking of quality education, they are driven by quality teachers. Quality education is driven by quality teachers. That is the end thing. That is the major thing. So you need quality teachers to drive quality education. You are talking of 21st century developmental issues. You need 21st century teachers to be able to deliver 21st century education. And so it's very important that we have to understand the nexus that exists among these three components that you actually mentioned. When you talk of the teacher, education, development, you know, we have to understand the nexus very well. They are intricate, they have intricate relationship. And the one is inseparable from the other, from the others. And that's why it's important that in talking about development, we have to take these two variables together. We have to look at the quality of our teachers, because the quality of the teachers will determine the quality of education we are going to get. The quality of education will determine the quality of development you are going to get. To the extent to which a country is developed or developing or underdeveloped is to the extent of their level of education. Okay? And that is why education is the key, but the teacher holds that key.
Prof, in the context of this nexus you're talking about, are we sufficiently aware of it in terms of policy, in terms of the political environment, and in terms of the institutional structures to drive it in?
Well, I can just say that there is a current reawakening.
Okay.
Over the years, we have neglected education, you know, and look, you cannot be talking about development. When you're talking about development, two major issues are very central: education and the health of the people. When you talk of human capital development, education drives this. And over the years, we have neglected it. If you look at our budgetary, allocation to education over the years, you will think that maybe we are not serious as a country. But there is a new reawakening, and I'm very glad to say that Mr. President actually emphasized that at the last meeting of the Global Partnership on Education Summit, which was held in the UK.
In the UK.
Okay, where he said that for the next 2 years, the country is going to focus more on funding of education. You know, that is the political will that is needed. That is the political will that is actually needed to drive the kind of education that will bring about development. So I think there's a current reawakening. And when you are looking at the issue of the teachers as well, the teachers of Nigeria will tell you that they have never had it so good until they have this current dispensation. Because, over the years, the issue of the teacher and teaching have been left, unattended. But for the past few years now, especially since we came on board at the Teachers Association Council of Nigeria, there has been a new fillip. Okay, there has been a new trend now, and we are now consciously, deliberately targeting how do we improve the quality of the teachers in the country. Perhaps that was why part of the reason why we introduced the professional qualifying examination for would-be teachers. Because we felt you cannot just walk into any profession just like that. Okay, and that was why we felt, okay, let there be a stricture. We introduced a professional qualifying examination for anybody who wants to pick up the job of a teacher. Because before then it was just an all-commerce affair. You come with the certificate from your institution and you are registered pronto. You become a professional teacher. We felt this is unacceptable. So under this dispensation, there has been a new thinking. A new beginning, and a fresh ideas are coming in on how to reposition the teaching profession in the country. I'm glad to report to Nigerians that yes, we may not see the result because the results of some of these things may not be feasible just immediately.
That's it.
But what we are going to notice is that over time, you are now going to begin to see the impact of what we are doing on the quality of education in the country. Okay, and gradually, there is going to be a change in the quality, improvement in the quality.
Prof, in this country, we have teachers and teachers and teachers.
Oh, yes.
But we have a huge deficit. Huge gap in terms of quality teachers, professional teachers. I know the Teachers Registration Council in the most recent past has been trying to change the narrative. Let's understand some of the pegs that you're putting in place to change this narrative. The gaps and deficit in professional teaching.
Oh yes, there's no gainsaying that globally there is a deficit of 7-point-something million teachers globally. Globally. In Africa, we have our own portion. In sub-Saharan Africa, we have about deficit of about 4 million teachers. And
that is huge.
If we have that in Africa, Nigeria is going to account for the larger percentage of that 4 million teachers. And so, it is imperative that we have to recognize first that we have deficit. So, the state governments are the major employers of these teachers. It will interest you to know that some state governments have not employed teachers in the past 10 years. And so when you get to some schools, you find about 4 teachers. It saddens one. Okay, it saddens one. You get to a school, you find about 4 teachers. You find, including the head of the school. So, we have noticed that. Yes, there are some states are consciously trying to employ teachers of recent, trying to bring, teachers. And that was why Mr. President was thinking, what can we do with the dearth of teachers that we have in the school? We are thinking of addressing it from 2 angles. One, attracting best brains to the teaching profession. Those are the 2 angles we are looking at. Number 1 is how do we attract best brains to the teaching profession. 2, how do we retain experienced teachers on the job? Because even when you employ, you will still need to mentor these new teachers. Okay, you need the experienced teachers to be able to mentor them. And so Mr. President was thinking on from 2 angles. 1, attracting best brains to the teaching profession, because we want the teaching profession to have the prime of place. And that was why Mr. President was thinking of how do we reintroduce bursary. He approved the reintroduction of bursary for those who will read education. He approved the funding of their teaching practice, like he are funding stewards. He approved so many other things for would-be teachers to encourage people, bright students, to go into the teaching profession. Then the next one is how do we retain experienced teachers? Given the fact that, the experienced ones are living on droves, how do we retain them? How do we retain them? And so we're looking at, expanding or extending their number of years in service from 60 to 65, or for a number of years in service from 35 to 40, or number of age from 60 to 65. Okay, the president has given approval to that as well. Okay, and we have even started implementation of that at the federal level in January 2021. Okay, so these are part of what Mr. President is thinking, and the Honorable Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, that brought that idea. Yes, because we recognize the fact that we have dearth of teachers in our schools, and to bridge that is why both the TRCN, the Federal Ministry of Education, and even the presidency are looking at all those issues and how to mitigate
this is just a curious question. Attracting best brains, retaining experienced ones, and then expanding the years of service and giving bursary as incentive. Is it just about throwing money at it?
No, it's not just about money, but actually you need a well-motivated teacher to drive quality education. Believe you me, so many people were leaving the job. In fact, you will be surprised, when people initially, when they started leaving teaching profession because of the attraction in other places. Yes, they started leaving for jobs like customs and then immigration and things like that. But now it will surprise you that people are even leaving for civil defense jobs. See this civil defense thing. People are leaving teaching the mother of all professions, to go and join such groups and such other jobs. So in order to motivate people, in order to mobilize them, in order to rejig the whole education sector, because believe you me, you need these teachers and you need quality ones. look, and to get them and to retain them is very difficult. You have to do everything possible, because immediately they get offer in other areas, they will leave. So to tie them down, you need certain things to attract them. And that's why the president was thinking of rural posting allowance, things like rural posting allowance, difficult subject allowance like science subjects allowance, and even housing scheme for rural teachers, okay? Rural housing schemes for teachers in rural areas, and all this package to ensure that we are able to retain these people, because we don't want them to leave. You're already talking about the death, the shortages, okay? If we don't tie them down, definitely something is going to happen. They will leave, and we don't want them to leave. Okay. So in order to attract them, it's not just about, yes, money is part of it.
Throwing money.
Yes, they have always been saying that our reward is in heaven as teachers. You know, yes, we agree. We want to enjoy it in heaven, but let us enjoy part of it even here, even here. And that's why we feel that that should be part of the component. It's not only about money.
Okay. Now, Prof, I mean, let's try to establish some kind of synergy. You throw money at it, reward should also start right from here. Yeah. What about the component of the teaching environment? Yeah. We have dilapidated schools. Yeah. We have dearth in learning facilities, books. We're not publishing enough books for this for students in schools. Are these not also key to developing a professional teaching arrangement in the country?
No.
A lot of these schools don't even have common sanitary facilities.
I agree with you. When you are talking of the
blown off roofs,
you are talking of even the environment, the learning environment. Is also very critical. But you see, it is a pity that even while government is funding basic education through UBEC, you know, some states of the federation have not been able to access if you really listen recently, when the honorable minister mentioned the figure of billions of naira that have not yet been assessed by some states of the federation, you will be amazed that what are we looking at? And these are states where you have their schools dilapidated. These are states where you have children sitting on the floor, and they could still not access the fund that is available there.
And it's just lying there.
It's just lying there. You know, recently they mentioned about 20-something billion or so more than that, lying fallow with UBEC. Okay, whereas these states governments are supposed to come and bring their counterpart funding to be able to assess this. Okay, so when you are looking at that, if you look at federal institutions, federal colleges, or unity schools, you will see that federal government is trying to address all these deficits you are talking about. In fact, very recently, nearly all the unity schools are equipped with laboratories, and then they are also equipped with laptops and ICT rooms, very well equipped, so that teaching and learning are going on smoothly in those places. But what we are saying is that, look, the state government, education is on concurrent list. The state governments are supposed to do some of these things in all the schools we are talking about, actually are the ones staying back. So one is amazed when you see the resources that are there available in UBEC for you to access, to be able to go and improve on the school system in your state, and you are still waiting. So it's a big challenge, because as a teacher, it's not just about your welfare package. It's also about your work environment.
That is it.
It's very critical. You get to the classroom is empty. Even you cannot find ordinary chalkboard. Okay, ordinary chalkboard is not there. So you will be wondering, how will the teacher perform? Okay. So as a teacher, we are not concerned just about the welfare, and that's why at the level of TRCN, we are looking at this from two angles. One, the angle of teacher professionalism, and two, the angle of teacher welfare.
Beautiful. Well, we've been talking about and taking a look at the issues surrounding teachers, teaching and education and driving national development. I've been in the studio with the Registrar Chief Executive of Teachers Registration Council, a core institution to attain this objective, Professor Josiah Ajiboye Olusegun. We'll be right back. Exclusive interview on 84 TV.
AD4 TV Radio, we focus on education with emphasis on research and innovation, science and technology, women and girl child education, children, health, youth and sports, socio-political and economic reforms, security, environment, entrepreneurship and entertainment. We'll give you information at your fingertips. learn on the go. Follow AD4 TV Radio on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. AD4 TV Radio, reliable and credible.
We love you, AD4 TV Radio.
Welcome back. Exclusive interview on AD4 TV Radio, and we're discussing teachers. The Registrar Chief Executive of the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria is right here in the studio with us, Professor Josiah Ajiboye Olusegun. Before we went on that break, we're looking at the extent to which other tiers of government appreciate what must be done to bridge all the gaps and deficits in education, especially the teacher performance, conditions for it. Why do you think that the teachers, you mentioned UBEC, large sum of money lying fallow, unaccessed. Why do you think the state governments are creating this gap? We do appreciate that education is on the concurrent legislative list in the Constitution. So federal, state, and local governments are involved. The federal government is playing its part. Why are the state governments lagging behind?
Well, I will not begin to do thinking for some people. I don't have the spiritual insight into knowing what their thought patterns. But I feel very strongly that there's a platform that brings everybody together. That is the National Council on Education. The National Council on Education is the higher decision-making body on education in Nigeria, where the Minister of Education presides. And you have all the commissioners for education and their permanent secretaries as members, of this body. And it's at that level that we should be able to do some appraisal of what is happening in the various states of the federation. And I think what one we initiate very soon is the idea of that state by state appraisal, so that we'll be able to come up with
kind of peer review.
Yes, peer review. Let us understand what is happening in the area of education in each state, so that we'll be able to help them. Look, they may likely need help in certain regard. It is important, it's imperative that the Federal Ministry of Education has to put in place a state-by-state analysis. Yes, let us do a state-by-state analysis and see what is happening in particular states. Their challenges may not be the same. Do you know that? Their challenges may not be the same. And when we're able to identify the challenges, we'll be able to profile possible solutions to them. So I think you are correct in saying that, look, it's good for us to understand what is happening in some of these states. Why have they not been able to access this funding that is there? Because if they know that they are in a competition with other states, I'm sure they will wake up. I'm sure they will wake up. Because I recollect very easily the issue of a particular state. Yes, I can mention the state. Kano State used to have the largest number of unemployed teachers. Kano State used to have the largest number of unemployed teachers.
The teachers were there but had no jobs.
No, they unqualified. Unqualified teachers. No, largest number of unqualified teachers. And at a stage, I discussed with the deputy governor, I discussed with the honorable minister, and I discussed with the deputy governor, who was then in charge of commissioner for he was also doubling as the commissioner for education in the state, Professor Afis. And after some consultations, do you know Kano State put nearly all 25,000 teachers back to school? They will teach during the week, and they will go to classes during the weekend. I'm telling you.
Quite novel.
Oh, I'm telling you. They will teach instead of you sacking people. Kano State came up with brilliant...
Build their capacity.
Yes, brilliant idea of sending these people back to school. They send them back to school. They will teach during the week. During the weekend, they will go back to school. And within a period of a year, 18 months, they were able to graduate about 8,000 who completed PGDE or NC... the professional diploma in education and other qualifications like that.
Professionalized.
Within a period of 18 months. I was there to induct. In fact, the immediate past emir of Kano, everybody, the governor himself was there at the induction ceremony of 8,000 teachers in a day. That is novel. That is the kind of idea we are trying to sell to states, to make sure that, look, yes, this thing is a state challenge, but at the federal level, we can propose alternatives of what we can do. And working together, we'll be able to achieve that. I want to use Kano as an example. Since then, there has been a very smooth progression for teachers in Kano State, those who were not qualified, making sure that we bring them to the level of qualification. And as of today, Kano is one of the top leading states in terms of qualified teachers in Nigeria. Okay. So one can sell this kind of idea to the states. And I believe, like you rightly said, we should be able to help the state to do appraisal of what is happening at the level of their state, so that we'll be able to know where the help will come in.
A lot of us, a lot of people in concerned circles, especially with respect to education, are looking forward to the day when this phrase, educationally disadvantaged, will be expunged from the lexicon in this country.
Yeah.
Do you see that happening? That's number one. Number two is, since coming on board, you've been there trying to rejig professional teaching in Nigeria as the chief executive of TRC, Teachers Register. How far have you gone in putting things in place, driving this objective?
Well, first, let me talk about the first one, educational disadvantage. Yes, we share the same view on that. Where there is a will, they say there is always a way. Okay? And like we earlier said, you need a political will. Look, I could recollect there was a state government where they saw that they were on number 32. Out of the 36 states, they were 32 on WAEC ranking in terms of their students' performance. And they called us, as professors in the university, what can we do? And we told them, look, do you know what? You don't have problems with your teachers. The problem you have with them is not that you don't have qualified teachers, because in Nigeria, to say the fact, 83%, more than 83% of the teachers in public schools are qualified. Whereas you can't say the same thing for teachers in private schools. But what is the difference is in terms of monitoring and supervision. That is the major thing that was lacking. And do you know what we did? We got the Faculty of Education, University of Ibadan, to monitor all the schools in Oyo State for 1 year. Do you know from ranking 32, they moved back to 13 within a year?
But there are school inspectorate divisions all over this country.
I don't want to go into yes, but I think it's a public knowledge that our inspectorate system has actually collapsed. No, at the federal level, the federal government, the federal Ministry of Education is trying to rejig that now, because we felt we need to bring back this inspectorate thing. Yes, under whatever name you call it, whether you call it quality assurance or inspectorate, but let there be a strong inspectorate
monitoring and
evaluation. Yes. And I think the Federal Ministry of Education, in fact, there's going to be a procurement of vehicles for all the state, the inspectors or the quality assurance people in all the states of the federation, so that we'll go back to this, because we have. It's a fundamental issue that we know that is lacking. The difference between what is happening in private school and public school is that monitoring and supervision, okay, which is lacking in our public schools. In those days, the inspectorate division will write even weekly reports. They will send to Abuja. Weekly reports. They monitor, they supervise both public and the government, federal government and state government schools. And they write their reports. And these reports actually help in guiding to know what is going on in those schools and how to guide them, how to help them out. Okay, so I think coming back to that, we are going to make sure that we rescue that situation. But at the level of Mr. President just graciously reappointed me as a registrar.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I started my first tenure in 2016, the 1st of August, and I completed it July 31st. This year, but Mr. President, through the Honorable Minister of Education, graciously reappointed me to continue with the job with effect from 1st of August. And so we want to believe very strongly that they have seen part of what we are trying to introduce into that place to change the narrative of the teaching profession in the country. Because now some of the things we have done it include that examination I mentioned. Before we came on board, they will just come for TRSN certificate. They will bring their certificate and they get TRSN. We felt, no, this is not the right way to go. If you want quality, you need to put certain strictures in place. And so we introduced that. The minister approved it. We introduced the examination and we started it. It's now a must for any would-be teacher in Nigeria. For you to get TRSN certificate, you must pass that exam.
Qualification exams.
Yes. Another thing we did was production of professional standards for Nigerian teachers. That standard was there before, in 2010, 2012, but we tried to review that to reflect current realities and challenges in teaching profession. We did that just 2019. 2019, yes, we did a review of that. But another landmark thing that we did was the introduction of the career path for Nigerian teachers. The idea is to bring the Nigerian teacher out from the regular scheme of service that you used to have and create a new career path for teachers. I'm happy to report to you that career path was first approved at the National Council on Education meeting in Port Harcourt in 2020 and has now been presented to the general public in Jigawa at the last National Council on Education by the Honorable Minister of State for Education, for the public use. So that career path now, policy document, is what is going to be used now to promote teachers and to make sure, because it entails two things. It looks at teacher path and also school leadership path. And so these are the things that we are brought in
the two components of academic and non-academic. We
are brought in place to make sure that at least we enhance the teaching profession in the country. And believe you me, through our activities, was the approval given by Mr. President last year came through some of the activities of the Teachers Regional Council of Nigeria under my leadership. And one is glad to report to Nigeria that gradually we are seeing a change in the trend, because even the exam that we introduced, Nigerians in diaspora are writing that exam from any part of the world now, wherever they are. We made it so easy that you don't need to come back up to Nigeria to write that exam. You can write the exam from any part of the world, and pronto you get your certificate when you passed.
Moving forward, what do you see of the teacher, the professional teacher, and education in Nigeria moving forward?
Major two things that we want to drive moving forward. One, we want to continue with digital literacy training, because we know that technology is very critical. Okay, even the pandemic has taught us certain lessons that things are not going to be as they used to be. People are now talking of new normal, and to be able to function in this new normal, the teacher need digital knowledge. And so we are going to concentrate our efforts on digital literacy training program for the teachers, and we are also going to pursue the issue of all those approvals given by Mr. President. We'll make sure we concretize them and they are brought into fruition so that the teachers will also be happy. A happy teacher is a happy education, is a happy nation. We want all those approvals given by Mr. President to translate to concrete realities for the teachers. And that is our vision in this new dispensation.
I wish you the very best, Prof.
Thank you
You've
very
done exceedingly well. I'm sure that accounts for the renewal of your tenure as the Chief Executive Registrar of the Teachers Registration Council.
Thank you very
much. We do
much.
appreciate the time, the insight you've given us on exclusive interview 84 TV Radio. Thank you very much.
Very much. We really appreciate you.
Thank you very much for being with us. Exclusive interview on 84 TV Radio. We shall be with you again with some other exciting guests. For now, goodbye.
Audio Jungle.